Welcome to the Make a Pie Week 1 series. Watch me stumble through price sensitivity this time around. I will share my screen. And here we are. The price sensitivity comes from watching price and profit vary with one another. There is a sensitivity worksheet, separate activity here. Oh my gosh, there is included here, I probably shouldn't have done this, but you got it. The data table procedure allows us to take a variation in price and force Excel to deposit it somewhere. To take this price, whatever it is, in B6 and calculate this profit, the blue cell down here, and do so for each and every one of these selected prices. Now, how did we come up with these prices? We said, let's take a maximum and a minimum, the number of nodes, and calculate a simple width. Well, the width you can see is max minus min divided by the number of nodes minus 1. That's because we have how many? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 nodes. We actually have 8 intervals. We have 8 increments from, in this case, a minimum of 5 to a maximum of 12. You know you got your grid approximation right when the grid itself starts with the minimum and ends with the maximum. And these are all equally spaced at $1.87.5 here. There we go. That's the width. In this one, we have a max price. We also have an optimal price. If I'm going to do this correctly, let me put in here formula text. Simply writes out the formula itself. And let's give it some room here. There we go. It's the index of the match. The index is find the price, B7 to B15, for the row in which the maximum profit, 35,963, occurs in the maximum in the profit range, and make it an absolutely exact match. Put a little item around that. I'll copy this up. There we go. That's the max. And there you go. Now the rest of these values are simply given. So there we have it. Another index match. And we're going to use this, I hope hundreds of times, but probably a lot less than that. Okay, so this is the table. Now, what's here? That table says take whatever's calculated in profit B22. Okay, where's B22? This number, whatever calculated here, using this price this probably won't work. In which case we'll say using this price. Now where is F51 coming from? Okay, equals F11 . There we have a data table. This is the data table. In the top of the data table, in the blue, is the thing to be calculated. You can see it refers to profit B22. What is profit B22? It's this thing right here, this 35,963 for, a price of 938, given all of these parameters, the $3.01, the 21 cents, the 11,020, 4840, and the parameters of the processing quadratic relationship, that cost structure. Going back to sensitivity, this is what it is. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to highlight and select this table, including the blue and including the pie price grid that we have created with max, min, nodes, and widths. Next, we go to the data ribbon. We go to what if analysis, and buried in this is something called a data table. Well, we could put in the row. What we want to do is change price by changing that yellow marker. See what happens. Again, as I stumble through this. Oh, apparently that's not correct. What do I do? What do I do? Well, I try the other idea. Column input. I always have forever gotten this incorrect. What's a column? What's a row? But if we think of pie price as a column, the column input cell ought to be this pie price in the yellow at C3. Say, okay. Now that looks like, yes, that looks like values, some negative, some positive, and a maximum at $9.38, a maximum profit. That's a profit maximizing price. This data table, as coarse as it is, and we can make it finer by scrunching in the max and the min, making the max smaller and the min bigger. We could also make it many more nodes. All of that's possible. None of it is really important. What's important is to understand the relationships among all of these variables that we have here. And the most important variable right now that we're looking at is the decision pie price. Remember the influence diagram, pie price and total profit. Well, you know, you can actually take this and actually include in this, and that's an interesting thing to put inside of this text box. We'll wait on that another time, but that would be a dynamic text box, in which case the influence diagram actually has the data of the model inside of it. Makes it extremely interesting, and maybe even a good graphic. A little bit busy for that for a decision maker, just like the dashboard table is a little busy for a decision maker. All the decision maker wants to know is, what's the pie price? What's the profit associated with that? That's the best. And maybe change some assumptions. Wouldn't it be interesting to change the intercept and slope assumptions here, and the quadratic term assumptions here? Yes, all of that can be done. And we can contrive ways to do that. That would be a nice exercise. Getting back to sensitivity. That's all there is to sensitivity. We have sensitized ourselves to movements in price relative to a criterion, in the blue, of course. Make that a little bit more tight here. There we go. Don't like these strong colors, actually. To take away from the picture we're trying to build. Okay, good. Here are the formulas. Remember, we're using index and match to find the optimal price, which is at row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row 6 of this array, target array, row 6 is 938. And we found that by finding the row of the max of this profit array, and it's at row 6. I mean, actually, if we did this, just not to automate it too much. I just put in the price array. If we put in row 6, get 938. Isn't that cool? But row 6 is this match function. That's where we get the 6 from. That's how lookups are actually done. Okay. Just want to go to setups here. I've included in M and N more setups to make worksheet titles. For example, the dashboard. You might want to call it, instead of this make a pie thing, you just do an equals, go to the setup, select dashboard. There we go. Very simple. Keep this as simple as possible. Cost. Instead of this one driver thing, let's call this what it is. That's simple. These are very dynamic and allow the analyst to respond to client requests or changes very easily. Let's go back here. Demand equals, in the setups, whatever we say is demand. There we go. Now let's make this a little bit bigger. Make it bold. Font changes. Okay. Find out what it is. Sensitivity. Same idea. Equals. We can, in the setup, we can edit this very easily. There we go. Now also notice in the setups I've used this ampersand, which is a concatenation of N2, which is make a pie, and a string. And strings here are always in double quotes, space, have a colon, price sensitivity. Just trying to describe things. That's really what's important. The other thing I've done is I formatted these assumptions a little better for the dashboard, filling dough, fixed costs, the increment. This is the increment that is dead inside. Let's bring this up. Format control. It's this increment, the cell link. Okay, that's actually what is recorded in the setup. And the value you see is 20 times that increment plus the minimum value. So all of the computations are done here. That is correct, good, not aspiring practice, but prevailing recommended practice. So we put all of this here in setups. And the dashboard itself, as I said, I think the next time around we want to change some of this operations material. Probably want to have a consumer number here and a production here number here. But really all we're interested in is this operational statement, cash flow, income statement, however you want to look at it. These model parameters up here seem to be very important, but there are assumptions buried inside of operations that maybe we should call out and put sliders in for them. This is the result of the slider, by the way. You could also put minimums here. You could do a lot of different things. Anything to help the decision maker interact. I'm going to leave it with that, and hope you've enjoyed yet again this segment of the model building exercise. Again, thank you very much for your kind attention.